There are now two versions of Daredevil. I mean, two entirely different shows wearing the same name with the same characters and actors, doing fundamentally completely different things. Netflix's Daredevil and Disney's Daredevil Born Again are distant cousins, is the best way I can describe that. Two entirely different canons. I'm telling myself the original is the 616 version and the other is some far off multiverse version. And it genuinely pisses me off because the original Daredevil is one of my favorite shows of all time. Like, of all time ever. I watch a lot of TV and it is up there. And I think that surprises me because Netflix does not have a good track record, but somehow they made this heartfelt, devastating superhero show that understood its characters on like a molecular level, and now it's gone, and it's not coming back, and I'm still mad about it. Netflix's Daredevil follows Matt Murdock, who is a blind lawyer in Hell's Kitchen, and he moonlights as a vigilante because the justice system is broken, and he is not okay. The show is slow and violent and Catholic and very sad and interested in the cost of trying to be a good person in a bad system. It's about guilt and punishment and community and whether violence can be justified. And it's also about found family, with Foggy and Karen and Matt trying to survive in this big, very dangerous city. Daredevil Born Again, on the other hand, is about Matt trying to leave Daredevil behind, failing almost immediately, and getting pulled back into a world of vigilantes and serial killers and Wilson Fisk doing whatever he does. It's sleeker and it's shorter and it's way more Marvel, and it wants to be a continuation but also a reboot and also its own thing, and it never fully commits to any of those identities. What makes the original Daredevil so special was the people around Matt rather than just the amazing hallway fights and all the murder and all that. Foggy Nelson and Karen Page were the emotional backbone of the show. Foggy grounded Matt, and Karen challenged him, and both made his choices matter, both in his personal life and as a vigilante. His actions hurt the people he loved rather than just affecting the criminals, and without them, I think Matt isn't fully Matt. In Born Again, you feel the absence immediately, because they shoot him, they kill him, they physically get rid of him. Instead of Foggy and Karen, we get fragments of their personalities stretched thin across new characters. Heather exists almost exclusively as like the therapist girlfriend, and Kirsten exists as the woman friend who sets him up on dates but doesn't like him, and that's kind of it. They're not bad performances, but they're written like a function rather than a person, and people stop existing when Matt leaves the room. Foggy used to argue with him about ethics and law and friendship, and Karen used to investigate and make mistakes and get her hands dirty, and that really worked for the show. It made the characters so three-dimensional. These new characters don't push him. They orbit him and they reflect his arc, but they don't complicate it. That's a huge downgrade. I know this is a popular opinion, but I'm saying it anyway. Killing Foggy was so unnecessary. I had to do like a lap around the house when I watched that because it pissed me off so bad. It was so annoying. It was actively harmful to the show as well. I understand the intent. Killing Foggy traumatizes Matt and it makes him abandon the Daredevil thing because being Daredevil gets people killed. That is a solid idea in theory. Matt goes back to being Daredevil anyway, so what's the point? Foggy was thematic ballast. He represented the version of justice that Matt wanted to believe in, and removing him hollows the story out entirely. And because the show doesn't commit to Matt staying away from the Daredevil thing, otherwise it would just be called Matt. Foggy's death feels less like a tragedy and just there for shock value. Like, I don't think anyone would have watched otherwise. I think everyone noticed as well. No one liked it. I mean, the show is now stuck, especially with Karen. They can't kill Karen off as well because people would riot, but they also don't seem to know what to do with her. She just sort of cycles between Matt and Frank Castle. Karen Page is one of the best characters in the original show, and I say that about all of them, but I mean it this time. She's allowed to be angry and traumatized and morally compromised, and still fundamentally she is compassionate Her relationship with Frank Castle is one of the most compelling dynamics in the entire, like, Daredevil Punisher corner of Marvel. It's so frustrating that Born Again feels allergic to letting her exist independently as a person. She is either with Matt or she is not there at all. Also, I am tired of the Karen Matt romantic inevitability that keeps happening. They work platonically. They're soulmates in like a we are traumatized together kind of way, not like a we must kiss about it way. Not every intense bond needs to be romantic. Sometimes friendship is the point. Stop making them kiss. Right now, it feels like the writers don't know where she fits in the show. Like, they don't know what to do with her, and they can't remove her, so she's stuck in this limbo. Honestly, at this point, just like let her date Bullseye. Cares I. Wouldn't change a thing about the show being bad. Maybe the next season they can bring in the fists and they can have a three-way. Netflix seasons were usually about 12 or 13 episodes long, and sometimes they dragged. Season 2 had pacing issues all over the place, but I do know that it was a setup for the Defenders series, so I think it's forgivable. Season 3 was a masterpiece. The longer format let the show breathe, and it allowed relationships to evolve and ideologies to clash and consequences to linger, and Born Again, with its 8-episode structure, just doesn't have that luxury. One entire episode is spent on a bank heist, and I get what they were trying to do, like show that Matt was never really gonna let go of Daredevil, but it feels like a waste of precious time. When you only have 8 episodes, every single one needs to matter, and this one felt like filler in a show that cannot afford filler. The emotional arcs feel rushed, the moral questions feel underdeveloped, and the big moments don't land as hard because we haven't lived with these characters long enough for this season to feel the weight. Dex, Bullseye, he is fantastic. Consistently, he is incredible. He is terrifying. I'm weirdly sympathetic of him. Even when he kills my man Foggy, I hate him, but I get it. I think that's exactly how a character should work. That might just be down to Wilson Bethel being a good actor, and also I have a crush on him, but it works. The Fisks are also great. I like that they used sparingly. Wilson Fisk is looming still. He feels inevitable, and he feels like a force rather than a constant presence. That restraint is so smart, and it mirrors what worked well in the original as well. The performances visually are very strong. Charlie Cox is still Matt Murdock. Vincent D'Onofrio is still Fisk. The bones are there, but the biggest loss is intangible. The original Daredevil felt intimate, the lighting was dark, and the camera lingered, and scenes were allowed to sit in silence, and Hell's Kitchen felt oppressive and claustrophobic and real. A lot of Disney Marvel shows, Born Again included, feels so clean and polished and bright in a way that drains any of the grit and the tension out of the story. It doesn't feel lived in. It feels like a very expensive commercial, like one of those like medicine ads that you get in America. It feels like one of those. The Netflix show trusts its audience to sit with discomfort, and Born Again feels like it's always worried that you might get bored. Daredevil Born Again isn't terrible. It's fine. The original was so good and so special, and I don't think anything could ever live up to that. It cared so much about its characters and its themes and the quiet, and we're never getting that version back. So I'll keep watching it, and I'll keep complaining, and I'll keep defending Karen Page with my life. You know, like Matt Murdock would want.